YouTube.
Did you look at the follower count on the YouTube for 3View Mirror and see if
I went on a 3View Mirror Facebook page and put a link to my YouTube.
Okay. Like just to see the follower count, see if it goes up.
But I want to see if I'm on my YouTube now. Yes, it's saying live.
Nice.
All right, so maybe a bunch of people from there will see it now. Let me go to chat. Studio chat is 3, live stream chat. Say hello when you come in.
Is it the studio chat or is it the live stream chat?
It is. Hey, Melinda.
Oh, I see it.
Hey, Michelle. Good to see you both. Glad you all found the feed. All right. Well, good to see the two of you. Welcome to Michelle and Melinda, who have just joined us via our YouTube page. It looks like Melinda just got home from work, so good to have you on board. Perfect. So if everybody's good, let's get right to it.
Let's get to
Welcome to the 3View Mirror Podcast, a live event where 3 Gen X era buddies, 3 former children of the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s get together and talk pop culture. Talk about the things that were uniquely 70s, 80s, and 90s and how it impacts the world today. And specifically, one of us comes up with 3 topics that are pertinent to that era. And we discuss those 3 topics in 3 different 15-minute segments that sometimes feel more like 15-second segments because we dig in so much we'd like to stay on that one topic forever. But here's the deal. The final quarter, the last 15 minutes of this podcast will be the other 2 hosts, along with you at home, trying to determine what hidden connection exists between the first 3 topics. Now, today, our 3 topics are the Bad News Bears, movie Gremlins, and McDonald's gift certificates. Now, they seem completely and totally random, but I promise you, there is a connection that ties all 3 together. Now, my name is Gen X Jono, John Katrides, and I am joined by 2 of my favorite people in this world. Starting off with you, Rochelle.
Hi, I'm Rochelle O'Black, and you can find me out on social media. If you don't know me already, go and give me a follow. Happy to be here. Cannot wait to dig into these topics.
And were you talking about me or Gizmo as your second favorite person?
Can't both things be true at the same time?
I suppose. I mean, I would prefer Gizmo, but I'm Chris Clues, better known as Chris Clues. I'm a keynote speaker and author that focuses on the lessons that we can learn from 80s pop culture for our life and work. So I am excited about today as well.
All right, guys, this is the 3View Mirror Podcast.
I love our intro.
The floating heads.
I love our intro. I think it's so.
So, all right, Chris, if you got a moment and you want to throw the topics in, I'm kind of hampered from texting and typing at the same time today. Let me move Gizmo out of the way now that he's served.
Oh, you want me to put the topics in?
What's that?
Do you want me to put the topics in?
Yep, I got it right now, actually.
Oh, I was just doing it. Okay.
So what we've got is, I figured, again, trying to stay with the 70s, 80s, and 90s as much as I can sometimes. Bad News Bears is my 70s component. Tatum O'Neal, Walter Matthau. We've talked Field of Dreams. We've talked The Sandlot. We've talked about different 80s era baseball movies and baseball. This was a little different. The 70s version of our kids' baseball movie was different than those others. Blister Bill, these are 2 of my friends. We decided to push our podcast over and do a live event on my YouTube page to introduce you guys to everybody. I'm on live. This is the podcast, Cleo. This isn't a live. So thank you. Bye.
Listen.
Thanks.
You probably hear my husband
Well, let's start
upstairs
Bad News
drilling.
Bears.
My husband's upstairs remodeling a bathroom where he just fell through the ceiling, mind you. Not too many, about 2 hours ago. There's now a big hole in my garage ceiling where he fell through. He's okay. You're probably going to hear the drilling up there, and that's the hazard of being live, right?
Yeah, there's not much in the way of editing going on for these episodes. But as I mentioned briefly, we have 3 topics. And these 3 topics span the 70s, 80s, into the 90s, and beyond. And today they are Bad News Bears, Gremlins, and McDonald's gift certificates. So we're going to start the 15-minute clock and talk about the Bad News Bears. Shall start with you. What do you think?
Well, you probably picked the wrong person to start with, because although I've seen the Bad News Bears, although I loved the movie and remember having loved it whenever I was a kid, just because it was a kid's movie. It was an adult movie, but it was a kid's movie. And it was like The Sandlot. I didn't attach to either one of those the same way that the boys did, because it was a baseball movie. So I defer. And I'm heading over.
I'm gonna keep your feet on the fire for a second, because you say it's a boys movie, but especially for the 70s, this was a boys baseball movie that shined the light on a girl being presumably the best player, the hero, the star of the team. And that was a very un-70s like thing to do at the time. That broke all kinds of things. That wasn't kind of cool seeing, like, because you were kind of somewhat tomboyish and girlish at the same time.
I was a girly tomboy. I don't even know how to describe it. We went up, we played baseball in the field and stuff. But for the most part, a lot of times, if I saw a movie in the 70s or 80s, when these were on the ABC special movie night movies, then I might have only seen it once, because we were sun up to sundown. We were often outside. We were often out playing our own games. So me seeing it one time, maybe 2. My kids now have watched it, but then I didn't sit down and rewatch it with them. So it never had a true lasting effect on me like some movies did. I can remember certain movies that they stuck with me for whatever reason. And Bad News Bears was one of those ones where I was like, okay, yeah, that was good, and moved on. And I was never like, oh yes, it's the Bad News Bears on the ABC Friday night movie or Thursday night movie, whatever it was.
Well,
all right, we're done with you, Shell. Let's go, Chris.
I know that there are other people out there who are feeling the same way, who loved it, but yet they weren't like, this isn't on my top roster of movies that just moved me for any reason.
I mean, before that, the girls playing sports, it was Marsha or Jan who got hit in the face with a football and broke her nose. Yeah. I mean, so this was a big step up in that respect. But I love the Bad News Bears. I played baseball my whole life. I could relate to multiple characters for different reasons. I think, for what it's worth, a lot of us, I don't remember, would it come out in 77 or 78? 76? So I would have been, single digits still. So I looked at Kelly Leak and I'm like, that guy's cool. I want to be Kelly Leak. He's like, drinking a beer and smoking a cigarette and riding a motorcycle across the baseball field, and he can play ball. And everybody wants him to be on their team. So, but I also related to Tanner throwing my glove on the field and getting pissed off when we lost. So,
well, and that's the thing about the Bad News Bears that I think is really indicative of the time. First and foremost, we'll just say it. Could not make this movie today. So much wrong with it. 1976. Thank you, Robert. So much wrong with it given today's morality, today's vision of what's right and wrong. And again, if you guys watch our podcast from week to week, you'll know that we don't judge the past, nor do we really judge today. We just say things are what they are, and we like to talk about it. These kids were drinking, and it wasn't just the cool kid or the bad kid drinking. Everyone from the nerdiest kid on the team all the way up had a Coors Banquet in his hand at one point or another. These kids were driving down the highway, handing Walter Matthau a beer as he was smoking and drinking in the car, not a seatbelt to be found anywhere. And, kids today will look at that and be like, wow, what a crazy movie. And it's like, it wasn't a crazy movie.
That was life.
Tuesday in 1976.
I was just going to say this was absolutely for real. Like, because, your mom or your dad had the window cracked on the car while you're in the back, seat, getting all that secondhand smoke in there. Middle of winter didn't matter. Yeah. And oh, sorry. And you're up and you're turned around and you're looking at, you're up on your knees looking out the back window because that's what you did. And you're waving at people on your knees turned around in the car.
Waving at them in the back.
Yeah.
And playing punch bug. Yeah.
And then every once in a while, somebody would turn around and I told you kids to settle down, and it didn't matter. There could be 7 kids in the back seat. Everybody got a smack. You know what I mean? It didn't matter.
Yeah, and I loved, like I said, I loved all the characters, and of course Walter Matthau. I mean, somebody earlier said that he made the movie, and I mean, a lot of, I would say, like, let's call it maybe millennials, their introduction to Walter Matthau would have been Grumpy Old Men.
Yeah.
And so to go back and see him in Bad News Bears and, thinking of him as the old guy, but I guess, I don't know, are we going to do this thing about age and how old he was in Bad News Bears?
I knew he was going to look it up. He's going to sit there and he's going to be like, Walter Matthau was 49 in that movie.
I mean, he couldn't have been older than 55 in that movie.
He was actually 56.
Okay.
So let's say 55 when he was producing it. He was basically our age. Walter Matthau in Bad News Bears was 55, 56 years old. And
so only 20. So 20 years from now, we'll be the grumpy old men and women because that was 1996. So yeah, all right.
Walter Matthau also smoked, I'm sure, filterless cigarettes and had bourbon for breakfast because that was the staple in the 70s. So I mean, there's a reason they may have aged slightly differently. So question for both of you as we look at this movie: if they could possibly remake the movie today. So let's take Bad News Bears, which is coming on 50 years old now, and bring it into the present. Is there a lesson from that movie that still would be pertinent today, that still would resonate with that 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, which is what we were watching it back then?
I would say that the team is a sum of all of its parts, and that you go into battle, so to speak, with the players that you have. And sometimes you'd be surprised what you can do when everyone works together. And they were so different, all of them. And what's his name that had to take the getting hit by the pitch just so he could get on base? Was it Rudy?
Oh, I don't remember. You're better than I am if you remember names.
It was hold on a second. I'm going to tell you. It was one of the players had maybe somebody it was Rudy. Rudy was really nervous, and so he couldn't really hit, and he would just take a hit. He would get hit by a pitch to get on base. Like, they all did their little part. Yeah, Tanner, as crazy as he was, as crazy as Tanner was, he was the passion. As ridiculous as he sounded sometimes, but he was the passion behind the team. So I'd say the team is sum of all its parts.
Yeah, and Melinda Owens comes back with, listen, it doesn't matter if you win or lose. It's how you play the game and the relationships you forge. And I think that was really big in the 70s. We saw in the 70s movies, Rocky being another great example of it, where at the end of the movie, the protagonist, the hero, didn't need to win for the lesson to be learned. The Mighty Ducks in the 90s and different movies, the Disney movies as they moved on, the team won. There was the huge celebration. And Bad News Bears, they had their celebration. They cracked open the beers. They were very happy. The team that was sponsored by some bail bondsman company that probably provided the beer got to celebrate at the end. But the victory wasn't in the game. And I think that really plays through to the 70s. The 70s lessons weren't necessarily just about winning at all costs. It was, did you win together? What did you guys learn? And I love that. I love the grittiness of that.
I don't know what it would be like today, but somebody else mentioned about parents, and there weren't parents when you went on the traveling teams. Now everything's a traveling team, and the parents are there. They're getting hotel rooms. It's got it's gotten to be big business, like these little leagues and stuff. So Chico bail bonds, yeah, and I don't.
Make that shirt.
That would be a cute one, yeah. but it's gotten to be a big business now, and I feel like there would be more if they made the movie today. It would be more about the parents than it would be about the kids, and the parents either forming relationships or fighting, because it's like this movie truly focused on the kids. Now, I don't think that would be the case.
Yeah. Well, life truly focused on the kids. Our lives as kids were self-focused. I always talk about it, and I joke that the play date was probably invented sometime in the late 90s, early 2000s. The play date didn't exist when we were growing up, because play date assumes someone set it up. Someone's mother or father called somebody else's mother or father and set something up for the kids. We didn't do that. We went outside and found something to do before our parents found it for us. I was travel soccer. I went on the bus. I came home late on the bus. My parents weren't home when I got home. They certainly weren't at the game. Not because they were bad parents, not because they didn't love me, not because boo-hoo, I had a bad childhood, but because that's the way it was for me. They both worked at the restaurant. Being at my soccer game in 7th grade, really, it wasn't a consideration. And this movie showed that. There were no parents to be seen at some of these games.
That's a good point. That's a good point, both of you, because we talk a lot about on this show about being latchkey kids, and our generation just, is it 10 o'clock? Do you know where your children are? I mean, that was, the people look back and think that was nuts, but actually I think it was a pretty good way to grow up, if I'm being honest. Like the free range kid was pretty cool, and they likely couldn't do it because there are a lot of parents today. They, at least of the younger kids, like they want to be front and center. And, it isn't to your point about the kids anymore. And then of course you'd have the parents yelling at the coaches, my kid's not getting to play. And I mean, I'm sure there was some of that when we were growing up, but not to the extent that it is today. Everybody thinks their kid's going to be a pro athlete. Back then we were a little more realistic about who the kids were that could play sports and who couldn't. And that's why they had the little drafts back in the day, and everybody kind of moaned and groaned in the last draft pick, the kid that got put on your team. But in reality, that was the best thing that could have happened to any of us, because, like I said, we learned valuable lessons about it.
I was just talking to my husband about this the other day. On Amazon, there was a book that came out a couple of years ago, and it was called "Listen, Kid, You're Not Going to Be an Effing Astronaut." Okay, it was like, I forget, that's not the exact title, but it is literally a book on Amazon that was called that, and it was about realistic versions of parenting. And I think that sometimes back in the 70s, we were allowed to fall, scrape our knees, so to speak, make our mistakes, and learn from them all on our own. It wasn't the parents teaching from the top down. It was a lot of times us kids learning the things on our own. And then you come home, you tell your parents what you did or didn't do, or lied about it, or whatever you did. And there was a lesson in that somewhere. Well, did you learn your lesson? Good. All right, we're good. Go play again, And I think we grew up a lot. If I compared myself as, like, say, a 14 or 15-year-old to, like, my kids when they were 14 and 15, much more mature. I would say that I was much more mature at that age, mostly because I got to make my own decisions, or be that bad kid, or try on myself as one of the bad news bears, try on that attitude and see if it worked. And your parents were like, all right, go ahead, see what you're going to do.
So kids today see that life on television. My kids were of the era that grew up watching Dora the Explorer and laughing about it. And they're like, oh my God, look, she's going over the bridge through the forest. Where are her parents? This would never happen in real life. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, I'm Dora the Explorer. That's how we grew up. We were Dora. Now kids see it and it's a Disney movie. It's impossible. It could never happen. We lived that Disney childhood where there were no parents around, and we were better off for it. Now, unfortunately, times and laws change. So because I didn't want to end up on the wrong side of the Department of Social Services, I adjusted the way I parented my own children. For better or for worse, laws dictated I do so. That being said, I don't think it's better or worse necessarily across all avenues. It just is what it is.
It is what it is. Everything is, it is what it is.
Hey, John, I think, John, if you go back up just a few comments in the chat, Melinda had, I think, what would be the perfect plot for the Bad News Bears today? If you made that movie today, do you see that?
One of the moms would be banging the coach. The coach wouldn't be a middle-aged man. He'd be some beefcake because pretty is more important now. Melinda, kudos to the comments. I will say pretty. You got to remember the 70s brought us Farrah Fawcett and Jaclyn Smith and Kate Jackson. Pretty was pretty important back then too, but it wasn't always everything. But your point is well made.
Yeah.
And that's why we do this live, guys. This is something we've been doing for a while. I'll put in a little commercial before we switch topics here that this is a labor of love that me and my friend Shell and Chris have been doing for the better part of a year now. This is our second season doing this, and we do it because it brings 3 different points of views on 3 different topics from 3 different decades. And we finally discovered the joy of being able to do it live, so we can bring in a 4th component. And that 4th component is you, and you guys become part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Now, moving forward, we will be posting these episodes on the 3View Mirror podcast YouTube page. And you can follow the 3View Mirror, 3View being one word, Mirror Podcast on Facebook as well. But this is going to be a regular thing coming at you on Fridays. We'll always post it on the Facebook page before going live. And we're happy to have you here as part of the actual show, just like they filmed shows back in the 80s in front of a live studio audience.
Mm-hmm.
You guys get the good, the bad, the ugly. It's all going to be here for you to watch.
Yeah.
And probably the way I eventually get canceled, because my wife is confident I'm going to say or do something on one of these lives eventually that is not going to end well.
James has a good question there. It says, do you feel like it's worth being old now to have been young then? And I think that is an amazing question. That would be a great one to round out this segment. Abso-freaking-lutely, it was worth everything. I was happy then. I'm happy now. I appreciated the way that I grew up, right or wrong, and I like everything now. So yeah, we're in the freshman class of old people, you know, and that's okay with me because I've lived a beautiful life up until this point.
I've made a video about it saying that if the price to have been a child of the 70s, 80s, and young adult in the 90s is to be a 50-year-old in the 2020s, then I'll pay it every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Yeah. Everybody who's privileged, who's fortunate, gets to be old. But not everybody got to be young when we did. Mm-hmm. So there have been old people throughout all of time. Yeah. But there was only one generation that got to be young when we were. And I mean, that's a price I'm happy to pay.
Yeah.
Me as well. 100%.
All right. So we're entering into spooky season. Arguably, if you go through Lowe's right now, you're wondering what the hell season you're in because the Halloween space is being taken up by the Christmas. Space. Yeah. In a rapid, at a rapid pace. Yeah. So I figured what better time than to bring my friend Gizmo out and bring us to our second topic, which is one of my favorite movies, The Gremlins.
Okay, fun fact for me. Okay, this is get to know show here. The very first movie that I ever saw in a theater, not an outdoor theater, inside of a theater was Gremlins.
Really?
I should say by myself, like with friends. You know what I mean? Like, what year did that come out? 80. What year was it? 85, maybe.
83, 84.
84. Okay. I was taking a guess there. This was my first movie as like a. I would have been maybe 11 years old. First movie to go by myself without my parents to see this movie, and it's forever in my brain is that because I was so excited. I never saw anything on the big screen except at the drive-in. We always went to the drive-in. Drive-ins were still a deal. You know, you can't find them anymore, but they were a deal then too.
Yeah.
Thoughts, Chris?
Gremlins is one of my favorites. One of my favorite Christmas movies as well. And I mean, and for those of you that just joined, if you just joined, we are talking about 3 topics today, all that are connected in some way that we'll do at the end, or we'll have you guess how they might be connected. The first one we talked about was the Bad News Bears. The second one we're talking about is now Gremlins. And listen, any movie that has Corey Feldman in the 80s was a good movie. So
and Phoebe Cates.
Well, yeah, Phoebe Cates, of course.
Wasn't she? Yeah,
I was
she.
amazed. Yeah, of course. I was amazed you started with Corey Feldman when Phoebe Cates was right.
Well, I mean, I love Phoebe Cates, but I don't think a lot of people realize that Corey Feldman was in it. Like, that's the thing. Like, he's, you know, they don't mention Corey Feldman Gremlins when they mention Corey Feldman movies. So, not for nothing.
Phoebe Cates, dude.
Or Phoebe Cates in Fast Times more than
Well,
Gremlins.
no, Phoebe Cates walking down the street and anywhere, anytime, anyhow. I mean, Phoebe Cates, but to your point, yes, 80s legend of a different variety, Corey Feldman. Not a huge role. You're right. It's not like Goonies where he pops right up. It's not Stand By Me where he's pivotal, but absolutely that gives chops, that even more chops to Gremlins because he was in it.
I have a problem here, John, and Chris, you could probably back me up on this. He's bragging about Phoebe Cates here, yet this is the man who's never seen what movie, Chris?
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
So I don't know, John.
Like I said, there are certain scenes in Fast Times I have seen many times at different speeds, at different pause rates, for different reasons. We need not get into it, but trust me on this. The Phoebe Cates scene of Fast Times in Ridgemont High, I could probably draw from memory.
But did you pause it and it's all wavy because it's a tape? You know what I mean? So,
but
yeah.
Shell
around that too. You played it, but at any rate,
Shell. He didn't see Fast Times. So what movie did he see?
Oh, he saw Beaches.
Yeah, Beaches.
Yeah, Beaches. Yeah.
Can we get back to Gremlins before
Beaches, Fast Times, like
talking about an incredible movie?
Okay. Listen, back to Gremlins. For me, the part that I was absolutely creeped out about in Gremlins was when they put the water on the dang things, and there's the little bubbly thing. The animatronics was so weird looking back then, and the little bubbles that came out of its back that freaked me out as a kid.
That was pretty gross.
Yeah.
Well, and you said the first movie that you saw in the theater was Gremlins?
Yeah.
And then they had that huge theater scene where they were all in there and they went crazy and the movie screen burned away. And
yeah, that was, and I know I went with like a younger cousin and she was scared to death of the movie. I wasn't scared of it. I loved horror movies. That was my favorite thing. But my sister and I, there was a particular scene, and it probably went by most people's, brains, where I don't know if they kicked Gizmo. I don't know what they did, but they went Gizmo, caca, and me and my sister would just go around going Gizmo, caca, and I have no idea why, but that's the Gremlins said that to Gizmo.
The movie's got so many iconic scenes, one of which is absolutely what Chris mentioned, where they're all in the theater. Beth, in our studio audience, mentions the splat in the microwave. That became a moment in time with pop culture. The getting the water on them, the rules. The pop culture phenomenon. It was a pop culture phenomenon. Don't get them wet. Don't feed them after midnight. Don't expose them to bright lights. Am I remembering all three?
Bright light, bright light.
Bright light, bright light.
And I mean, Gizmo was so cute. Like, everybody wanted one. Spike, they were all just perfectly cast. It was a fun movie. I was 14 when I saw it. It didn't scare me. But my daughter's 12, and when she watches it now, it kind of scares her a little bit. So different from generation to generation, kid to kid. I know kids that were scared of it. Somebody asked, James asked, what's the girl version of Phoebe Cates in Ridgemont High? And Melinda answered Patrick Swayze in Dirty Dancing, or even Ghost. I would say that's fair. I know Rochelle would agree.
I just got a moment.
Gremlins 2.
What?
What's that?
Gremlins 2.
I don't even know if I saw it.
Mm-mm. I didn't see it.
Rare instance where, I mean, 80s were amazing when it came to sequels being phenomenons, right? Star Wars got better, in my estimation, with Empire Strikes Back. I've heard, although never seen any of them, that the second Godfather movie was better than the first. Rocky gained speed as it went from Rocky 1 to 2 to 3. I don't know what the hell happened with Gremlins 2 or Grease 2. Certain movies where they just... Pardon me now?
Mm-mm.
Did I say something?
Yeah, oh yeah, you did. Mhm.
He's a cool rider. You were a fan of Grease 2, Shell?
Listen, cool rider. I want a cool rider. I almost liked it as much as the first one.
Yeah, well, no. Michelle Pfeiffer's great. She was no Olivia Newton-John. So
I have to respectfully disagree with you, John. You just, this is from a person whose Beaches is his favorite movie.
Yeah.
So.
Thankfully, he didn't get Beaches too.
Would have been amazing, but they couldn't. And again, the whole point of that beautiful movie was that I was dragged to see it by a girlfriend. And to this day, I'm stunned that women subject themselves to the emotional terrorism that is movies like Beaches. Mm-hmm. I didn't necessarily love the movie. Now, Bette Midler is a magician when it comes to musical sophistry. The woman is a national treasure. So,
yes. Did you just say musical sophistry?
I'm a big fan of Bette Midler. That just goes without saying. But again, I digress. Grease 2. Gremlins 2 is horrible. Horrible.
Did you just say musical sophistry? Is that what you just said? Musical sophistry?
I might have.
Wow. You're going deep today. With Gremlins, you know who voiced Gizmo?
Yeah, I do.
No. Who was it?
Howie Mandel.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I did know that. In fact, as soon as I said who, I started thinking of the voice and I knew. Yeah.
Yeah, and you also know that there was a lot of complaints about the violence in it because it was PG. To your point, it scared a lot of kids. Mm-hmm. And I believe I think after that, Spielberg was arguing for PG-13 with Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom because of some of the pushback they got on Gremlins being PG, because he didn't want it to be R. He knew he would lose a large part of the audience that he really wanted to see the film. It's kind of interesting.
And I mean, you're coming off an era where 79, 80, I think Airplane came out in 80. There was a point to be made that PG worked. But there's also a point that things started to shift with that 13. I think either would have been fine. I don't know. I think I'm fine with PG on it. I think the violence was cartoonish. And I think there's a difference between the two. If you look at, we grew up
the microwave.
Roadrunner.
The microwave was kind of brutal.
Microwave was a little.
Microwave was brutal. Yeah. My dog, though, yes, Gizmo was Bobby. Yes, Bobby's World. That is very true. So, but my dog's name is Gizmo. He actually looks like Gizmo. I don't know where he is.
Bobby?
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, he was like, my name is Bobby. That one, right? Howie Mandel.
Bobby's World.
Yeah, when he did the Bobby character. No, he did a Bobby character, a little kid, and it sounded very similar to Gizmo. He did it in his stand-up.
Huh. I missed that.
Yeah. Going back to the movie itself, we were talking about Fast Times, and John may not know this because he didn't see it, but Shell, do you know who was in Fast Times and also Gremlins?
Oh, besides Phoebe.
Besides Phoebe Cates.
Oh. Man, that is putting me on the hook there. I can't. Tell me, Chris.
Judge Reinhold.
Oh, well, I didn't really. Let me think. What role did he play in Gremlins? I can't even think of it now. He was
like I can't remember the exact, like it was a decent role, but not a huge one. I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, he was in there, and it's kind of interesting. Both he and Phoebe Cates in Fast Times and in Gremlins.
And I mean, there were some big actors that really just took the 80s by storm. We know that. We've got the entire Brat Pack. We've got a lot of them. Perfect impression of Bobby. Kudos on the impression of Bobby. Yeah,
what?
If you follow along, you will see lots of impressions. Chris has got a few.
Yeah. I did it at a high school talent show.
Zach
I did.
Gallagher?
Yeah, and you did good. Yeah.
Zach Galligan.
Galligan.
Yeah.
Really, again, couldn't recreate he did this movie, did maybe one or two others, and fell into like B-movie obscurity. Just disappeared after Gremlins. Just didn't get the lift off of it, and yet the movie just continues year in, year out to be shown on TV. Like I said, it will be 40 years old this year. 84 to 2024. Gremlins, Gizmo's 40 years old now. So,
wow.
It's just incredible to see that so many of our movies like this become like iconic, and I think will continue forever.
The fact that you could still buy that toy right there in front of you today, 40 years later, as an iconic, and you know what that is it's amazing. But Gizmo always reminds me of those little what were those things that oh, it was a toy from 15 years ago that with the little beaks.
I keep wanting to add the Jeopardy music from when Michelle has one of her senior moments, just to play it in the background. I will add it for next time. Thanks, Cindy. Hey, Red, I see you, buddy.
You know who else was another fun fact about who else was in that cast? If any of you are fans of Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan Banks, who played Mike Emertront in, I always have trouble with the last name, in Breaking Bad, played Mike in Breaking Bad, was also in Gremlins.
Huh.
And Beverly Hills Cop.
Listen, mad respect for you and your movie pop culture trivia. Mad respect. Furby! Thank you, Michelle. Furbies. There they were, Furbies. Gizmo reminds me of a Furby. Everybody knew what I was talking about when I went like this. So there you go.
You were just like,
my senior moment got everybody in the thing going, Furby. Yes, that's what Gizmo always reminded me of.
So, I'm going to do a quick recap. We've talked about Bad News Bears. We've just discussed a whole lot of stuff and managed to sneak in a little bit of Gremlins. I feel like we almost cheated that. Thank you, Chris, for trying to bring some Gremlins-related trivia to that.
We still have another minute or two to talk about Gremlins.
We're past 36. I'm going to move us along.
All right.
I want to talk about next. And I know this may seem like a weird topic, but it's something that was so prevalent when we were kids. They were everywhere this time of year. And that's McDonald's gift certificates.
Mm-hmm.
I remember houses would give them away at Halloween for trick-or-treating. And basically, they weren't, at least some of them, weren't even generalized. It wasn't like you could go and say, hey, I'll take whatever I want. They were good for fries or a soda. They were specific onto the gift certificate for those things. And it was like a $2 McDonald's gift certificate. And they would be commercials just starting to come out now. Talking about the gift certificates and handing them out for trick-or-treating or putting them in. I never got any in my stocking for Christmas, but that was the goal. McDonald's wanted these things handed out. Somebody mentioned earlier about birthday parties being the only play date they had. McDonald's birthday parties were about as epic as a birthday party got when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And I remember that's where I got my first gift certificates because they gave them out at those as well.
Mm-hmm. I remember them more at Halloween than I do at Christmas. We didn't get those for Christmas either, but we always got them for Halloween. In fact, that's how I remember them being marketed more towards the Halloween holidays than at Christmas. Somebody said they wanted to see my Gizmo too.
Is Gizmo the dog that I hate to put it this way?
Better be careful with that.
What?
Nothing. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. Is that your elderly dog? No, that's Snoop.
That's Snoopy. Snoop Curly Dog.
Yeah.
That's his name.
Yeah, Rochelle has this dog that if you see it, don't be afraid.
It's got cataracts, and he just sits there and moans all day long, and he just runs into walls like poor old thing. We shake him awake every day. McDonald's birthday parties, yes. But you know what the cool thing about McDonald's was? They sold those certificates for, I think it was, someone said a whole book for $1. It was, they were very dirt cheap, so they were easy to give away. And you wanted to go to McDonald's, and it wasn't for the food. McDonald's was a whole thing because when we were kids, you didn't go out to eat at restaurants very often. And if you did, it was maybe one local restaurant. It was the McDonald's or the Burger King, and you went for the play place. And it was, those play places were the bomb. They were the greatest thing ever. I thought when I was up in that hamburger, that Mayor McCheesehead, the Mayor McCheesehead, when you got to be in the jail, I literally thought I was 7 stories off the ground, and I thought it was the funnest thing in the whole world. Or the Grimace Shaker,
80s McDonald's, and the gift certificates is just a path into this discussion. But 70s and 80s McDonald's was iconic in so many ways. There was the glass cup giveaways, with the different stuff they did, whether it was Star Wars, even pre-Happy Meal, it was the Playland. It was the tiny metal ashtrays on every table. It was the styrofoam containers everything came in. It was the hotter than the surface of the sun fried apple and cherry pies that I burned in my mouth on, literally to the point of blistering every single time I ate them. You talk about fuck around and find out. I never found out. I never learned the lesson. I dug into that damn lava hot cherry apple pie and burned my mouth every single time.
Yeah, every single time, because that was the thing. You knew that you should blow on it, but you never did. They were fried. And that's back when the French fries were fried in beef fat before everything. They were better then. Everybody always said about McDonald's French fries were the greatest. They were salty and fatty, and they were the greatest thing ever. You know, and then you could get like your McDLT. Remember the hot side hot, cold side cold.
Cold stays cold.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it was an experience.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, you know, I know that there are experiences today, but you have to pay a lot more for those experiences. Then, like, you know, for a couple of dollars, we got the sandwiches or the nuggets, but we had an experience. And our parents got to provide us with an experience at very, very little cost compared. Now, everything's more expensive today, of course, but still, like, even compared to today, for a couple of dollars to have your kids entertained and fed, that was what I think made all the difference, was the experience.
One of the greatest memes I've seen in the last so many years was, oh, sorry, John. No,
Cindy mentions the toys, and I love the toys as well, but I remember the toys more from my younger brother. In my youngest years, I don't remember. Like, I remember when Happy Meals came out. I remember when chicken nuggets, McNuggets came out, when it became a thing. Even before those things, though, even before the toys, McDonald's was still this. I got to go back to the birthday parties. I never got one. My mother's idea of a birthday party was inviting all of her Greek friends from Rochester over, and my job was to clear the ashtrays and refill the drinks. You know, as kids were pummeled down into the basement, out of sight, out of mind, which is the only place in the house you could still breathe, thankfully, because smoke goes up. You know, I didn't get those birthday parties. Thankfully, I got the proceeds. They threw their gifts at me and went and started drinking and having fun. But my American friends, those that had a McDonald's birthday party and felt kind enough to invite me into it, dude, it was so, and they didn't, what did they do? They did nothing. But the fact that it was at McDonald's threw you a birthday party, that was so amazing to me.
If anybody remembers the picture, somebody just mentioned the stools that you sat on. It was that was the happiest restaurant you could go to as a kid. And I was just about to mention how there was a meme out there that said that, you know, like, here's that. It's like McDonald's has turned itself into a middle-aged man because they're so boring looking now, and they're neutral colored, and they've got specialty coffees and things. But when you were a kid, you had fatty fries and a Shamrock Shake, you know, and you were happy with it, and it didn't matter. You know, your parents didn't care either. It was a happy place to be.
And the definition of black coffee, I mean, that's all they offer. Now, like you said, they have all these specialty coffees, but I remember my dad drank his coffee black. And when we go to McDonald's, that's all he got was a black coffee. And then I was the one who was entertained and got all the food, the nuggets and everything else.
Even the commercials. I can't tell you what a McDonald's commercial looks like today. No idea.
No.
I'm sure it centers around whatever marketing deal they may have. Maybe, you know, there's a movie coming out of, but Ronald McDonald, scary looking as fuck to start. First of all, how we weren't all traumatized by that, I don't know. Ronald McDonald was like what I almost canceled myself. Let's just leave it as he was scary as hell. But the other commercial, like, I think we all grew up with 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, like ingrained in our heads. What is it? Quarter pounder French
fries, icy Coke, thick shake sundaes, and apple pies.
Quarter pounder, Big Mac filet of fish, quarter pounder
French fries,
Coke, thick shake
sundaes, and apple pies. That's it.
Do it.
Yeah.
That's marketing. We enjoyed it. It was fun to watch. We sang along, and it stuck. 30 years later, I can't tell you what I ate for lunch yesterday, but I know I'm stuck on Band-Aid brand because Band-Aid stuck on me. They knew what they were doing, and McDonald's knew it better than most.
And you know, there for a while, you know, fun facts of trivia. The first Ronald McDonald was actually the weather guy. The you know, there we go again. Somebody's gonna answer.
I know the answer, and I'm not telling you.
My brain's not letting it let me have it at the moment. Walter
Brimley?
No, I can't think of it. The weather guy. Anyway, he was.
Roker?
Huh?
Al Roker?
Yes.
No.
He was. Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, he was. He was Ronald McDonald, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We never had a black Ronald McDonald.
Yes,
No.
we did. He was the first.
No.
Yes, I'm pretty sure of it.
Yeah.
Willard Scott. Willard Scott. Maybe that's who I'm thinking of.
Willard Scott is not Al Roker.
Okay. Okay, my McDonald's trivia is a little low on the scale right now. So.
Well, I thought he was. Oh, well, yeah, I guess it was Willard Scott.
Okay, but anyway, Ronald McDonald, you know, and having retired Ronald McDonald because you know he just Willard effing Scott.
Willard Scott.
Willard effing Scott.
Comments are not catching up.
I can always. That's why the audience is here, because you can always count on the audience to fill in the blanks of stuff that you just, you know,
You just broke our chat with that, Michelle.
That's what,
And without pulling punches. Like, that's our generation. You don't pull the punch. You just go all in.
Let's see. I remember McDonald's gift certificates, the glasses, and of course McDonald's Monopoly game, which was a major scam in the 70s. I remember that at least what people were telling us about the McDonald's Monopoly game is if you were going to win, you needed to go to New York to get Boardwalk and like California to get Park Place. Like they only gave out certain pieces geographically to make sure you couldn't win. I don't know if there's any truth to that.
Probably. I mean, I'm sure.
Willard Scott was black. Spicy comes in with, Willard Scott, Al Roker, same thing.
And the drunk Ronald.
okay, wait. Grimace was not always purple.
I've forgotten about the Fry Guys.
Grimace was not always purple either. Grimace was green. And he had Uncle O'Grimace.
But he had 4 arms.
He had 4 arms. And Uncle O'Grimace, he was green.
He was green?
Grimace was always purple, but he was a bad guy originally.
Yeah, Uncle O'Grimace.
I always remember Mr. Yuck. Mr. Yuck is mean. Mr. Yuck is green. Do you guys have that?
Yeah.
Did you guys have that PSA? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Don't know what that has to do with anything.
Well, she said Grimace. She said Grimace was green, and I was saying, I don't know, maybe it was Mr. Yuck.
Rochelle grew up with a TV that just the color was off. Grimace was always purple, but he originated as a bad guy on the series that sold burgers and food and had 4 arms.
Yes. I did a video on that.
So they were all pretty scary, actually. Yeah. The fact that we embrace them is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I forgot about the Fry Guys. That was mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Well, and right now at Halloween.
Thank you, Melinda. Yeah. Melinda said she had Mr. Yuck stickers. So there you go.
Yes. I have Mr. Yuck stickers, and also that Find a Tot sticker in your bedroom window that said, you know, for when the fire people came so they could find
the Tot stickers that they finally discontinued because they literally told strangers walking on the street exactly which bedroom the kid.
Kids in this room.
Reconsidered that and thought, maybe we put them on the inside. So as the firefighters come through the house, they'll know what door to look in, not on the outside, so every pedophile in the world can go window shopping. Mm-hmm. Again, the way we grew up.
Yeah. No, and every time at this year, there are people that still, they're very highly valued McDonald collectibles. I must be. I'm colorblind with Al Roker and Grimace.
Hey, colorblind is a good thing.
No, the McNugget Buddies came out with a Halloween set, multiple whenever that was, and the McNugget buddies that have like a little cover on them that turns them into a witch and a ghost and a Frankenstein. They're highly prized little things, and some people still put them out for Halloween decorations. I personally, I have a set.
And some people sold most of their McDonald's collection, their Happy Meal collection, in order to pay for a highly valued kitchen renovation, I've heard.
Yes. For the people that are in here, when I was, it was sometime in the mid 90s, I decided to start collecting McDonald's toys. I went to like every yard sale, everything. I had collected up. I even was a part of, and it's really like nerdy, but I was a part of the McDonald's collectors club. There was an actual club, and I traveled to Chicago to go get some of these like extra special McDonald's toys, and then I put them in boxes and I let them sit there for about 20 years, and then I sold them, and I paid for an entire kitchen renovation, all of my countertops and and everything with the sale of my McDonald's toys on eBay, and I still have about half of them.
Very nice.
So yeah.
Melinda says her favorite Mickey D's collectibles were the California raisins. There were so many.
Oh,
so many.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They were awesome.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
this. I think Burger King did it too. So did Hardee's. It's tough to remember who had what. Hardee's had the Tweety, the Looney Tunes. That was Hardee's. I think Burger King had the Star Wars, but they all had them. They were all awesome. And they were all made up of the thinnest walled glasses in the history of time. Your teeth touched those glasses, they shattered.
McNerdy. I was turning around on my bookshelf. I swear, I don't see it there. I had them there for the longest time. My McDonald's collector's books were over on that bookshelf. So
That is funny, McNerdy. I was thinking that just makes me think McLovin, but that's a whole other thing.
yes, the new hole in the ceiling. I might need to get that.
The other half of your collection will pay for that. All right, guys, we're coming up on the hour. We're about 7 minutes behind, which for us, I got to tell you,
pretty good.
Good.
Pretty good.
So our show is broken into 15-minute segments, which often run late, but it's okay. Nobody can tell us what to do. We run late. First 15 minutes was spent talking about the Bad News Bears. The second 15 minutes was talking about this little guy Gizmo in the movie Gremlins. And most recently, we started off the discussion with McDonald's gift certificates and basically spread into what it was like growing up as kids that lived in McDonald's in the 70s, 80s, hell, even young adults into the 90s. And those were our three topics this week. It was Bad News Bears, it was Gremlins, and it was McDonald's gift certificates. Now, believe it or not, those three seemingly random topics have something, someone, something running that connects all three together. And I could bet dollars to donuts that Rochelle doesn't have a clue. Somehow Chris put it together. And I'm waiting to see if anybody in the comments has an idea. I'm relatively sure that shit-eating grin tells me you figured it out, Chris.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I said a lot, so I'll let the audience chime in a little bit. And in the meantime,
write yours down if you got it. That way, if they take it, you can say you had it.
All right, I'll do that. In the meantime, I think Danny had mentioned that she liked my Bobby impersonation. So while we're waiting, instead of some Jeopardy, you never saw Bobby, John, but Shell did. You got to see it. It's Howie Mandel, and he's like, he plays it. He says like this little kid. It's like a helium balloon almost. Like, my name is Bobby. Every time my mommy puts me on the potty, I would cry.
I would what?
He would say I would cry. He's like, every time my mommy puts me on the potty, I would cry. And then he would say to the audience,
"What?" The audience stumped today. Melinda saying that 2 were movie topics, not a movie buff. Melinda, come back next week or 2 weeks from now. Rochelle's host next week, but in 2 weeks, Chris is our host, and I can almost guarantee you there'll be some movie topics. There'll be some musical topics. I'm more of a TV movies guy generally. Chris is like king of all things music.
Mm-hmm. And I'm queen of random.
Fall out of the sky, and that's Rochelle's specialty.
Yeah, queen of random.
McDonald's sponsored the Gremlins, but I didn't know what you started with. Well, I started with Bad News Bears, and you're right. McDonald's did have a Gremlins sponsorship. But That's not it. Wait, what was the question again? John is a little quiet compared to the other.
What?
Whoa, really?
No.
That is the first time that's ever been said.
I've never heard that before in my life.
Wow.
The question is, what does the Bad News Bears, Gremlins, and McDonald's gift certificates, what do those three things have in common? What common theme, item, fact, piece of trivia, actress, actor, something connect those three? We had one guest which said that McDonald's sponsored Gremlins. Now, was somebody in the movie Gremlins also, did they go to McDonald's and use gift certificates? I don't know. Chris, let's go to you. What do you got, Shell?
The only thing I had was a kickoff to the holidays, because somewhere in the back of my brain, I thought that there was a Bad News Bears Christmas special. And we always talk about Gizmo and Gremlins being a Christmas movie, and that the McDonald's gift certificates were also a kickoff to the holidays. So that was the only thing that I got, was the kickoff to the holidays. Am I wrong that the Bad News Bears had a Christmas special? I swear in my brain, I think they did. Maybe. No?
Maybe. If it wasn't that good, because we don't watch it anymore.
Okay. Well,
And we're still watching Christmas specials from 20 years before that.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for my annual viewing of the Star Wars holiday special.
Oh no.
Oh.
I can't wait for the year without a Santa Claus.
Put
That's
us out
fine.
of our torture. What do you got?
I'm only guessing here because I think it's Corey Feldman.
All right, connect it for us.
I don't know. I'm going to imagine he was somehow in the Bad News Bears, but I don't remember what character he played. And he must have been in a McDonald's commercial because we already confirmed that he was in Gremlins. So that was the only thing I could think of.
So, although you did a horrible job connecting it, you stumbled onto the right answer. So Corey Feldman is our secret topic, and he was, in fact, one of the cast members in Bad News Bears. He was a member of that cast. In fact, it was one of the first movies he ever took part in. He also was featured as a cast member in the the Gremlins. And in terms of McDonald's gift certificates, Corey Feldman's first television role at all was a McDonald's Christmas commercial. And if you hear me out, you can probably see it in your mind if you're old enough as I describe it. But he's this little kid coming down the stairs on the middle of the night in Christmas because he thinks he hears something. And as he turns the banister, he sees Santa putting the gift certificates into the
yes.
And then Santa turns around and sees him, and his eyes get all big, and he runs back upstairs. Literally an iconic, probably the most iconic McDonald's Christmas commercial, played, I think, still to this day in some markets. And that little kid was Corey Feldman.
That's pretty cool, because as soon as you describe the commercial, I know exactly which one you're talking about. I know exactly which one.
Yep, there's the voiceover talking about McDonald's gift certificates, and there he is coming down, and he's got his pajamas on. I wanted to do Corey Feldman, first of all, and there's a billion different ways to connect him. I almost brought Limp Bizkit in from the 90s.
That's right.
Currently touring as a major memberberry. I don't know what that means, Wirehead. I hope it's a good thing and you didn't just have a stroke. Yeah, that was Corey Feldman. I could have connected him with Limp Bizkit because he's touring. He's actually headlining for Limp Bizkit right now. He's having a resurgence. He's coming back into popularity. His music is interesting. John Junkin, you're right. Believe me, I did my research 5 minutes before the show to make sure I was. And Santa shusses him too. Mm-hmm. Santa turns and it's like, shh. But when I talk about commercials for a generation of kids that were outside playing as much as we were, we also grew up on the boob tube. We also were warned by our parents to sit back from the TV, watching TV constantly when we were inside. And commercials are as nostalgic to me as... No, memberberries doesn't mean a stroke. It just means that I thought you were trying to write memory and your fingers just went wild. Anyway, there's the cancellation coming. Commercials are as much a source of nostalgia for me as TV and movies and music are. So I like to include them when I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, two things about Corey Feldman. One is one of my favorite movies of all time is The Lost Boys, and I absolutely love. I mean, I just love that movie from beginning to end. Every aspect of it. Yes, the music, the soundtrack is unbelievable, and the movie itself is just incredible. And now they're actually besides Joel Schumacher, who's passed away.
Let me make an addendum. I forgot my own notes. When it comes to the Bad News Bears, there was a 1979 television show of the Bad News Bears, and he was cast in the show. That's the connection.
Okay, that might have been what I was thinking of when I said I swear there was more than the movie.
Me. Hey, Stacy, how are you? So, there was it was kind of like Ferris Bueller had a television show that didn't work, that had some interesting people in it, Jennifer Aniston being one of them. We made that connection through that once. He was a member of the television show, The Bad News Bears.
Okay. So he was also, I mean, Lost Boys, I love it. They're actually going to do a musical, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
But it has the original people who were around the movie itself. So I'm hopeful. That they're going to do the right thing by the movie. We'll see. But the other thing is that I was fortunate enough to moderate a Goonies reunion panel in LA back in 2019, of which Corey Feldman was on. And for all the things that people say about Corey Feldman, and there's a lot of stuff that's swirling around him, I have to say that the guy really knew how to connect with people. When I was moderating the panel, I did it for about 30 minutes, and we started about 15 minutes ago. He goes, you know what? What do you guys want to know? Like, he knew how to interact. He just kind of like took it in a different direction. And when people were coming up to him and I was watching him one-on-one, you could tell those people felt like they were the only person in the room. So for all the things that have been said about him, I can tell you in my short time with him and watching him interact with people, he genuinely looked like he did care about each one of those people that came up to him. And he would treat them like they were the only person in the room. It was pretty cool to see.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Shell, did you ever call the two Corey's 1-900 number that was prevalent? I
did a video on that too, featuring the two Corey's. Because everybody who was anyone had a 1-900 number back in the late 80s, early 90s. But no, I never called it.
I almost used 1-900 numbers as my third category. I was trying to get to this because the two Corey's had one, but I'm like, there's better ways to get to 900 numbers as a topic. So I left the two Corey's out of it. Wirehead says that Corey Feldman has spent his entire life interacting with people, without a doubt. He's also, really a cool guy with a really cool story to tell.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Somebody goes, I forgot about the TV show. That was Robert. Jack Warden played Buttermaker. It only made it one season. Again, couldn't keep and I tried to make some clues when I talked about remakes and sequels not being popular. I dropped a couple hints. When you mentioned Corey Feldman early on, Chris, I'm like, he thinks he knows it. He just doesn't know how.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That was exactly it, because I forgot that he was in Gremlins. James, Dream a Little Dream is actually a really great, underrated movie, and a very good Corey Feldman movie.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, watch it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Really good. Yep.
So now a bunch of you, had a lot of people in and out, have seen what this looks like in real time. In my bio, in my link tree, there are links to our podcast itself. If you ever just are driving and want to listen to the episodes, there should also be a link to our Facebook page, which could be found on the 3View Mirror podcast over on Facebook if you guys want to keep up with what's going on. But look to this to be a pretty regular thing every Friday. We'll be bringing it to you on this page here, and we'd love to have you guys be part of our studio audience. It's been fun seeing all the comments. I hope you guys feel like it was something that you guys got to be a part of. We want this to be collaborative and not just a podcast where you're an inactive observer. You guys are the fourth host. So it's every week. Fridays, it'll usually change. Usually it's around, we try to do it around 5:30 to give people time to get home from work. Today and the next couple weeks, it'll be at 4:00 because of our work schedules.
Mhm.
But so next week and the week following, Rochelle, we're on at 4.
Yes. And then
Yeah.
after that, I think we'll be back to 5:30.
Yeah.
And then back to 5:30 to give you guys a chance to get home from work if you work and follow in. So join us, bring a friend, share the show, and we'll see.
And thank you for all the positive comments over there too. There are so many and very funny comments too. I love the funny comments. But the fact that people said that someone said a little bit ago they found their people. That's great.
Yeah.
We
Danny
love it.
said that. Yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
Danny. That was awesome. Yeah. Yeah, and somebody else mentioned before we
We're
go.
a little outnumbered, but it's been fun for me, guys.
Well, one more before we go. Somebody mentioned The Burbs. That's another one I would highly recommend with Corey Feldman. If you haven't seen The Burbs, fantastic movie. Go see it or go watch it. Fun. Thank you
All
all.
right, y'all. This is John Catrides signing off, saying I will see you all soon.
And I'm Rochelle O'Black. See you soon.
Chris Clues, stay rad, everybody.
Peace. Let me get our outgoing music. I'm late. I
Oh, the
can't-
dog. I got to get. She never saw my dog. I don't know where he's at.
We'll all bring our dogs next week.
We'll bring our dogs we'll bring our dogs next week.
It'll be a dog show.
Dog show.
See you guys later.
See ya.
Come on, button work.
You're still here? Go home.
There it goes. Peace.
Hit the like button. That's right.